Hi, welcome to the Buckle Past Perfect Monthly Book Review or Magazine Review, issue 213. And the reason I got this one for May 2023, Logan's Run, one of my favourite all-time films. I love this film. I can pick holes in it all over the place. It's terrible in places. It's sort of, the actors. Michael York. I'm not a mega fan of Michael York. He's okay. Peter Ustinov, brilliant in quite a lot of films. Terrible in this. But still, what a great film. I just absolutely loved it. I can watch it anytime it comes on TV. I've got the DVD. Now, I will still put either film, obviously, on TV or DVD. But this magazine, I love this. I love the comments. It's just great because quite often I think, oh, no, I don't agree with that. Or I do agree. But it's a fun read all the way through. Now, I was half expecting this to be a Logan's Run complete special. I don't know why I got that idea. But still, anything, I will obviously get the next issue. It's going to be about the TV series, which was terrible. And yet I still love watching it. It's just one of those series you think. But still very watchable in many ways. It's one of those things that could have been a classic. Maybe not. And I really, truly hope, commenting here about making the film again. No, you do not make it. It is of its time. It doesn't need to be remade. And if it is remade, make it as the book, because the book is nothing. I've got the books here. Just quickly show before I go any further with this. I love these. Some of my favourite. And they're great reads. You can read them, I think, within about an hour or two. You can really go through them. They're great, just easy to read. Logan's Search as well, just superb. And also, of course, Logan's Run, and it's very, very, very different. I mean, so different. It's like, I suppose, a bit like Monkey Planet, with Planet of the Apes. Again, very different film. I mean, as if they didn't bother. Logan's Run, they might as well, they just got a couple of characters, but it's just excellent. Thoroughly enjoy. If you're coming to it thinking it's going to be the film adaptation, it is nothing like it. I don't know when this was. I love the start as well. The start is just one of those great classic starts. And this one, to all the wild friends we grew up, and it goes obviously through the list of all the Batman, Robin, Black Country. I was going to say Black Canary, but it goes through all saying also, of course, how it all sort of starts, telling about critical mass in the year 2000. Well, obviously that didn't happen, but still. But it's also got like time machine, all the various things. I just love that little bit. Just beautiful. And also, of course, to Riesling, blind singer of the spaceways, and to the green hills of Earth. Now, to get onto this, the film. This is just great. I absolutely thoroughly enjoyed reading through this. It was just great fun. Absolutely brilliant. And it mentions here that he hasn't read it. Definitely worth reading. It's really great. And it's got lots of... Now, it's one of those films I think probably they did make a 2.5... I think it was a lot longer film. And then they chopped it. And I'm not saying it made it better or worse, but unfortunately there's no outtakes. There's a briefest of little bits where they show some sequences that didn't make it into the film, but I think most of it apparently just completely disappeared. I always live in hope that they will suddenly find this warehouse or room somewhere that they've got all these original bits and they can bring out the actual version that should have been. I'm not going to put any spoilers. The film's ending is one of the worst. It is so daft. It's unbelievable. It's one of those things. It makes no sense. Michael York's character, I mean, it's just really ridiculous. Like typical sort of like Martin Landau bits where it's always the red button. Don't press that red. No. Yeah, that sort of thing. It's terrible, but still, slight spoiler. But great performances all the way through. And I'm surprised no one's ever brought out a book of all the pictures from it, because some of the design and also the music. I think there's also an album. I haven't never bought it, but I've listened to it. That you can listen to, obviously, the album of Logan's Run, and the music is absolutely odd, very unusual. But I love lots of soundtrack albums, and without actually seeing the actual movie itself, it's quite often, I think it's just sometimes brilliant to listen to that. But you've got all the various, obviously there's a picture there of all people. Don't know what scene that was particularly. Obviously could be near the start, obviously. So, I mean, that really? Anyone was falling for that one? No, you're not written. It's a slight spoiler there. What a silly idea, really. But I suppose they again, they did it again different in the book. Different in the book. And then someone puts a comment saying, no, in the book it's not. They have to go do a sleep shot. Slightly more sensible, I think, in that sense, than fooling people into believing that you're going to get renewed from this thing. But still, I love the comments about all the sort of... there's a lot of things about the connection with, obviously, the mum and dad. There's obviously that is later as well, with obviously where Peter Ustinov as well. There's some just great points he puts in here, and I think it's good. Also, of course, Farrah Fawcett Major was in this as well. LA, whatever that is. I must admit, the line he mentions, there's a certain point, and you think, that is a terrible line. That is really... But the bit where I agree with that comment as well. And again, I don't want to put spoil. Of course, there's that great scene there. Also, this character. Now, there is some sort of, but it's just no. I just didn't really. That was one of the slightly stupidest bits, I thought, personally, in the film. But still, clunky. As it says, clunky. Very true. And Planet of the Apes, TV version of Planet of the Apes. Again, I love that as well. But, Peter Ustinov there. And next one he's going to go with is the On TV. And I thoroughly enjoyed that, even though he had Rem. What a character. But still, the novel that spawned the movie outside of science fiction circles, long forgotten. No, it hasn't. I remember it. And I'm not particularly a mega science fiction fan. Ish. It's great. I love that book. It's just always been a popular book for me. This one, Thor. So there's only about a small selection of pages, but it's still great. I would love to see an actual Logans run special, because of course there's the books. That would be lovely to cover. Also, of course, there was the TV series. Of course, there was also the comic book adaptations. There was about 3, 4, 5 different... There's a lot of different versions there. Also, of course, there was some radio/play ones, which I haven't got. This one's an Mighty Thor 193. I didn't get these ones. I mean, I've seen them since, but I'm not saying I really know those stories as well, perhaps, as most of the earlier Thors. But, my Lord, Thor. But those stories, for some weird reason, there's a bit of a gap in my sort of knowledge of that period. Probably because it was just before I started buying the US comics, and I didn't really particularly, by the time they got to Thor, these stories in Mighty Worlds of Marvel, Spider-Man, etc., I sort of probably wasn't reading them as much. So I sort of, though I did read them later with the Essentials as well as probably the Marvel Masterworks, etc. Then you got TV Tornado. Because you always get that sort of, there's certain stories that sort of stick in your mind. That one, not particularly. These TV, Coverman Prisoner, of course. And you've got Tarzan there as well. And then Star Trek. This one's a brilliant book. It's got probably one of the most absolutely weirdest. And to be fair, I think I've only ever watched this once at most. I don't think I could watch it again. It was so... I remember it being absolutely awful at the time when it came out. And I love the good and the baffling, bad and baffling. It was pretty baffling, very strange. The Herbert, I am not Herbert, he's not Herbert. It's just some really odd, very, very strange, that story. I think there was a song, wasn't there? His name's I saw this first run of Star Trek on UK TV in a very fragmented fashion. Maybe that's probably maybe I should rewatch them again. I don't know where. I'm not certain. Of course, it's Paramount now. Are they on that anymore? I have no idea. I've lost track. If they're on Netflix, I don't think they are. Who knows? But I really should try and make an effort to watch it. Maybe it's not as bad. Probably is. Just reading the comments, I think, but I can remember it being just that terrible. But this is great. And that's that one. Actually, all of them. She-Hulk. I haven't got that one. Doctor Strange. I'm looking forward to see that. I will probably get that one. Past Perfect special with Doctor Strange. I love that period. Doctor Strange, coming soon, as it says there. And yes, it's Star Trek's television wagon wheel, wrapped around a wagon wheel. Very true. This episode stinks. Sorry, that's a complete spoiler of what is conclusion. But still has a certain... No, it stinks. I have to totally agree. Trivia. And I love the fact it was Joanna. Was that maybe my memory of the books, the James Blish books? Was that called Joanna? Vaguely, a funny feeling I've seen, or was it something I probably read in the making of Star Trek? Because I remembered about the Joanna, but I can't, or maybe I'm just thinking of Visions of Joanna by Bob Dylan. It's possible. But The Way to Eden, you got there, all the various cast. But that was, for me, I think that's the last episode. I think that was was it the last episode? It was a very weird one in the third season. Then you got The New Gods, which is good. Jack Kirby's Fourth World, and goes to this one, which is I like this one. Tales of Suspense, they're always quite good. It's interesting, the comments, but it's about colour, the colour in it. I agree, the colour was this is what I like about these magazines, because he quite often points out things and you think, he's right. There's certain things that in the way that you look at these that I hadn't really thought about, into the jaws of death. And that's why I agree with him. The essentials are probably better. I got rid of a lot of my essentials, and I do regret that. I always regret getting rid of any of those sort of things. But the essentials are probably better because the colour sometimes does get in the way. You sort of you can see the brilliant artwork with the black and white. And also, of course, the story. So everything with the black and white makes it so much easier to read. I find I can read essentials very quickly, but I find the colour sort of somehow weirdly gets in the way when you're reading through these stories. I'm not certain why, but I do notice that whenever I do myself, sort of time myself, I can read through lots of an essential book very rapidly. Equivalent in colour, find it harder to get through. Strange, I don't know why. This one, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, never bought the series, so it's great that there's a mention of here, 6-part limited series. And obviously it looks really good. I think I might have it as part of one of my omnibus collections, but I have yet to read the Wolverine one, and if it's in there, maybe that's in there, I don't know. Might be in volume 2, because there's a volume 2 and volume 3 of the Wolverine ones, so maybe they're in there. I love these black and white. I'm actually starting to look at these black and white Mighty White, mainly because of this. These magazines, I think this is one of the things he's actually, Paul's sort of made me look back at some of these old magazines, and I was slightly maybe dismissive of the UK ones. I shouldn't have been, but sort of you look at the American ones, you think that's the source material. And yet somehow these ones in many ways are actually better than the colour ones, because sometimes the crisp artwork and the black and white, you can just see. And I love but sometimes there are also some weird decisions made. So you've got there the Wrath of the Rhino. Again, they changed it. The Lethal Leader. Why did they do that? Why did they change it when clearly you've got the Rhino on front? Then they put Leader there. Makes no sense. And also, looking at that, the Hulk, they also went for a slightly different. Why didn't they go for the same? Also, there's a vicar or whoever, but they've suddenly got some guy that's not looking like. Why did they change that? And obviously you've got the whole back is slightly removed. Very strange decisions on the artists when they were doing the Rhino says no. At least they kept that, I suppose. That was something, 1974. But it's just, oh no, they didn't keep that. They've added that. What am I talking about? Complete rubbish. There's nothing there, and then they've added that. Strange, isn't it? Just decisions. Why make those sort of decisions? Why put it? Maybe they thought it made it look more dramatic. And also, you notice quite often, again, they've just changed the bookshelf. Books in the back. I mean, it's like a minor point there. Again, it's just, why? Maybe it just didn't scale up well or something. I don't know. It's just odd, isn't it, when you look at these things? And also the colouring as well. Look at the colouring. They've changed. You can see the Rhino is obviously clearly in there. He's obviously... Why would he have bare hands? Why would he have bare hands? He's obviously completely full. And yet here, they've got him with bare hands. Makes no sense. Why change it when you're adding work, aren't you? It just seems to be, you might as well go with the original. Works fine. Very strange. But still, one thing I do love about this is like Daredevil, the man without fear, the Ox back. That was odd. Ox, again, sometimes a lot, and Paul again mentions it in this article, which is just great because he does point out things and I think, oh, that's very true. Quite a few times, characters either get weaker. In the case of the Ox, he gets stronger. Why? Why is he suddenly super powerful, really virtually unstoppable? And yet, earlier on, he's pretty averagely, well, he's probably not stronger than most people, but certainly he becomes really probably can run, obviously the Hulk, give him a good run for his money. It's very strange. The death of, etc. Spider-Man, enough said. Always that great. But also, another thing I love about this magazine is always good. What's this? And he points out these things, which you can see, obviously, the cover. And that's, of course, the splash page that was used inside the Mighty World of Marvel. And my Fantastic Four, the Stars, My Enemy, from Fantastic Four 37. And it's good. I genuinely enjoyed that one. I must admit, I did enjoy those ones, the Skrull ones. Not so much now, because of course they've been used so much now, but at the time, I really did love these Skrull stories when they sort of added lots of things with Skrull invasions and things. But back then, when it was like off-world and it was all sort of really new and sort of exciting, that you end up... But I love the fact they included these. And you can see that's a real sharp... And I'm certain if you actually get the original magazine, Mighty World of Marvel, you've really got a great cover there that you wouldn't see that. You can see that one there. Obviously, it's much bigger. And it's just great, I think. And that's the thing I love about those ones. And of course, you got there going through the, whatever it is, the wormhole or whatever it was called. I don't know what it was called there. And I love this art competition as well. Intriguing cross-section of fan art. Yeah, I remember that one. I remember that one. Blitzkrieg, the Man-Beast, Andrew Upcraft. Wow. I actually remember looking at that one. I love these ones. They were great. You got arts, competition. Absolutely brilliant. Intriguing cross-section. And that just, straight as soon as I see that, I just thought, yes. I mean, the Twinkler as well. Just absolutely brilliant. Captain Marvel. Loved his Captain Marvel. And I just recently read this story. It's not, again, it's one of those ones like the Thor one I just mentioned. It's not one that I'm so familiar with. And likewise, Beware the Blood Brothers, because of course it's one of those sort of Grail comics. I haven't got a copy. I've never had a copy of it. But in the magazine, in the omnibus edition, I just recently read it, and also got the Iron Man one, the Epic Collection, and that's got that story. Thanos looks really odd when you see Thanos. I mean, look at that. But it's again, in this article, points out that, of course, at this point, we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know that Captain Marvel 25, 26, 27, etc., Cosmic Cube, Infinity Gauntlet, all that sort of stuff, Thanos would become literally everywhere. Everywhere. Even my friends who know nothing, probably, mainly, about comic books, they know who Thanos is. They know about the Infinity Gauntlet. I mean, all these things. All from one character, obviously, one appearance here, Thanos. Primitive life form, as it says there. Also, I love this one as well. He also has a Star Trek section. And this is the thing I love about this, mate. It just goes through all the various things. And Time's Arrow, just great. Absolutely brilliant. That was a good episode. And I've just been watching Picard, which I thoroughly enjoyed. It was okay. It was a nostalgia fest of the highest order, but it was good. Time's Arrow remains a fan favourite. Very true. It is absolutely brilliant. This one, Hell's Bells one, Buffy, probably not a fan favourite. At the time, actually, I remember being I actually really liked Emma Caulford and Nicholas Brendan. No, it was Xander, and it was just great. And sort of showing what was going to happen. Those stories are always fascinating. And this one, Warehouse 13. Now, I'm not really, don't know this one. I've seen a few episodes of Warehouse. Anyway, got here all talking about Last Word, talking about various, obviously, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine. And that is that. And, of course, next issue. Next month in Requiem for Methuselah. That was great. That was a great one as well. Brilliant. On sale about, on or about the 5th of June. I love this. Ultimate Doomed Love Affair. Actually, I've been enjoying the Kindle Unlimited. There's been loads of these sort of Star Trek ones on there, the 5 years, whatever thing it's called. And they've been great. I thoroughly enjoyed reading some of those. And that just reminds me of that artwork. Reminds me of that. But this is brilliant. And another thing I always think is great from Past Perfect, they always send these out. And there you can see the details. Reviews from Vampy. That's great. And then you've obviously got the contact details there. And also, massive list. There's something flying out there. You've got a long list of all the various specials, which is always quite good. Upside down. But you can see there, got a vast number of different things. So it's just really great selection. Things I don't know what the last issue was, but you got there 212. It was the Eternals, Avengers, X-Men, Phantom, the Adventures of Girl Phantom. Well, that was a point. There was does mention something. Yeah, Logan's Run. Mentioned about there was no Sandwomen. I think there was in the comic books. I think there was a Sandwoman definitely in the comic books. I don't know if there was any Sandwomen in the books, to be honest. That is strange, isn't it? And certainly in the film there wasn't. There might have been. Because of course we see the dome. We only see that dome. Now, is that the world? I don't think it is the entire world, because in the books, that isn't the world. It's like everywhere else. There's loads of different places people go here, there, and everywhere. So you're just in this one little place so that dome city in the film. There's probably other places that we just don't see. Of course, if they'd come out with Logan's Run 2, they might have The World Beyond or something. Yeah, I'm just making a story up for that one. But it would be nice. So obviously, then Logan goes off and discovers and tells them to. And Peter Ustinov follows him and shows off his cats and things or something. Maybe not. Who knows? There's always possibility. Or maybe they find Sanctuary. Who knows? So even that's different in the book. That's very different in the book, and that's just some great bits with that as well. Really worth checking out as well, these books. Definitely a recommendation. I think I have done a video on those, but some of my favourites. So that's it. Past Perfect. Just what a brilliant magazine, as ever. Issue 213, really worth checking out. Logan's Run, obviously, and all the other articles as well. Totally recommended.